Good morning, kings and queens. Welcome. I am Queen Sheba, and today we are talking love and marriage Huntsville, specifically the Scott clan, the Wolf Pack, aka Hillbillies. If you haven't already, grab a cup of coffee. Let's talk about it. So yesterday's episode was a very telling episode for me. As I'm sitting here, I'm enjoying a really nice cup of coffee. I began to do my research and I took a look at some of the things that people were saying on social media. And one thing that I did notice is that people said that yesterday's episode was boring. It was a boring episode. On the spectrum of entertainment, it may have been boring, but I think it was a good mix to balance out the drama as well as the real life stories, because real life does happen. And that's something that we should keep in mind with reality television. So this was actually a perfect episode for me, considering I cover a variety of hot topics that are specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the behavioral and the psychological traits of the Black experience. I'm going to tell you this. In my opinion, the Scotts, if they could, they would love to take over that show. It was so obvious to me in yesterday's episode. If Melody Holt decided that this show is no longer in the best of her interest, Kimmy would actually be the reigning HBIC. Kimmy kept up a lot of shit on yesterday's episode. We'll go into more detail about that a little bit later. I'm going to start off with the Scotts, all of them, and I'm going to try to break it down for you. So, the obvious focus of yesterday's episode were the dynamics between Tiffany and Louis in their marriage. I don't watch the show to look at what the producers are placing in front of me, because that's the obvious, right?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't take a lot of thought to see, okay, they have issues, challenges in their marriage. That's no different than anybody else's marriage. I hone in on the not so obvious, what people are not saying, because it's where you find truth in what people don't say. That's the most revealing for me. So today I want to focus on the Wolf Pack, the Scotts, because they are indeed a pack of wolves. Woo! I'm talking about y'all. You got to really hone in on these people. They are a pack of wolves, and they attack in packs. They're a bunch of busted, broke down, hillbilly wolves. I feel like they actually get off on people being hurt or people being placed in uncomfortable positions, because it takes the focus off of their dysfunction in areas where they are gapped. And as much as Louis and Tiffany may have some issues in their marriage, let me say this: Louis is a way better husband to his wife than Marcel or Maurice could ever be. So let's just stop there. Take that in. Let's start there. Every marriage comes with challenges. Okay. And I talked about Tiffany and Louis's marriage in my last video. You can check that out if you would like to just get a little bit of background and insight from my perspective. But we're not going to sit here, Maurice, Kimmy, Marcel, and Tisha, and act like the men that you have are grade A, quality. We're not going to do that. There's a video on my page where I outlined the reason that I believe Leticia Scott resents Melody Holt. In that video, I dissected the dynamics and explained how Leticia has everything riding on her marriage. This includes her confidence, her self-esteem, and her self-worth. Let's check it out.
This is not a drill. This is not a drill.
There's certain things that's in front of your face that you don't see, and there's certain things that you see. Yeah, but you don't acknowledge.
We've been married the longest. I'm like, put some respect on our marriage.
What'd I tell y'all? What did I say in the video when I said this girl resents Melody for a number of reasons. And I explained that everything, her success in her head, is dependent upon her marriage. You heard her say it last season, that you better put some respect on our marriage. Tisha is not leaving Marcel. So, can we all agree, no matter what happens from this point on, that we're going to stop telling her about cheating rumors? We're going to stop taking pictures, and we're going to all agree today, moving forward, that we are going to allow that man to cheat in peace. What are your thoughts? Let's talk about it. That's what we do here. We talk about things together. We're going to allow him to cheat in peace, okay? Because there is nothing we can say, there's nothing we can do to convince her otherwise. And hey, I'm all right with it. I've showed you how she feels, and I've made videos about it. But again, what are your thoughts? Let's talk about the dynamics of Tisha and Marcel in their marriage. There's a scene in this episode in the kitchen where it opens up and Marcel is cooking. He's making breakfast. Louis comes in secondly, and then Tiffany comes in, and then last Tisha comes in. There's a moment in this scene where Leticia comes into the room and asks the Whitlows. Now she's talking to the Whitlows and she says, "How do y'all think today is going to go?" Go back and look at that scene. Pay very close attention. Because although she's addressing this question to Louis and Tiffany, she's looking at Marcel. The clues always lie in the body language. The body language is always telling. She's talking to the Whitlows, but she's not looking at them. She's actually looking at Marcel, which tells me subconsciously she's asking for permission to speak. Let me pause there. Subconsciously, she's asking him for permission to speak. Very, very telling. Any normal person, if talking to you or me, they're going to look directly at you, or they're going to look directly at me, and they're going to say, "Hey, how do you think today's going to go?" They're not going to say that or ask that and be looking at someone else in the eyes, okay? This tells me that there are a lot of rules in this marriage that have been established or may have been established by Marcel. And to be honest, Tisha is expected to go along and comply. Okay? I think we knew this all along. Marcel doesn't give a damn about Leticia. I'm going to just put it out there. In my opinion, this man don't give a damn about this woman. Not in that kind of way. Okay? And I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually a covert narcissist. But I really don't think he gives a damn about Leticia. There may have been a time that he did, but I don't believe he does. I don't care what comes out of his mouth in a therapy session or what he says or what they pose to be on social media and how they stunt on social media. The truth, baby, is in the sauce. It's his actions and his behavior that demonstrates the opposite of what he says. I'm going to push the envelope just a little bit further. I don't think he's in love with his wife. Yep, I said it. And feel free to challenge me. Feel free to disagree. I'm okay with that. I don't think he loves his wife. You know what? Let me take that back. I don't think he's in love with his wife. I believe Marcel may love Leticia, but I don't believe he is in love with her. And I actually question if he likes her. Believe it or not, you can love someone and not like them. The way he looks at her is as if he gets irritated when she talks and he just wants her to be quiet. This is my observation based on my assessment, okay? And also based on me being a married woman and the dynamics that I share, in my marriage. I'm like, whoa, bro, why are you looking at her like that when she's talking? She's just talking. He doesn't seem to like his wife very much, Pay attention to his eyes, because the eyes are windows to the soul. The eyes are your windows to the soul. Look how he looks at her in this scene. It's not in a loving, sincere, warm manner that you would expect from a husband to a wife. The more Leticia talks, the more she actually reveals to the viewers the true dynamics of their union. In the same scene, when she said, hey, how do y'all think today is going to go? And she didn't look at them, and the body language turned towards him, subconsciously asking him for permission. In the same scene, if you pay attention, she asked Marcel, did you only cook eggs for you? He said, no, there's some for you right there.
So you only cook eggs for you?
No, there's some eggs right there.
For you right here. What? Right here too? Plate with you. Oh, look at Marcel. Okay. Good job.
And she was shocked. And she said, oh, look at you, Marcel, which tells me that behind the scenes, he doesn't display the same acts of kindness behind the scene. So I believe there's some truth to what she claimed a season or two ago when she shared that Marcel does not pour into their household when it comes to her and or the children. Remember, she complained, I believe it was to Dr. Francis, that he does not pour into their family financially, nor does he provide necessary essentials for her and or the children when it comes to food, clothing, extracurricular activities, just to name a few. I believe this is a tactic that Marcel has introduced into their marriage. You guys, it is psychological warfare. Leticia shared on DJ Richie's interview that she does limited work outside the house, okay? And this is why I say the Scotts are fake, okay? Because last season you were trying to promote and present to us that you were a boss, okay? We don't really care whether you work or not. That's not the issue. The issue is when we tune in, we want to know the truth. But she said on DJ Richie's show that she does limited work outside the house. If this is indeed true, that means she would have what? Limited income, limited financial assets. So if he is causing her, this is her words, we're not making this up. If he is causing her to use the limited source of income that she earns to pay for the groceries, to pay for all things kids, to pay for vacations, that tells me this is a financial strategy to keep her in bondage. And I hesitate to say marriage, so I'm going to say bondage. This explains why she was shocked when he actually made some food for her too. Because if and when in a healthy relationship, if you walk into a kitchen, you don't have to ask your person, your spouse, your partner, if they made some food for you, because you already know they made enough for everybody. Her question was actually legit when she said, did you make me something? Because when the heart does not have a chance to rehearse, you're going to get the full truth. He's the one that's faking for the cameras. He probably wouldn't fix her anything if the cameras were not around. He probably doesn't lend a helping hand in their home, which tells me what I've been saying all along. The Scotts are all full of shit and faking for the cameras. These marriages are tore up from the floor up. Just toe up. In the scene, there's a scene. So let me back up. So throughout this episode, Dr. Francis meets with each couple individually and separately, right? They have a group scene and then they have their different one-on-ones, as a couple with him. When it came time for Leticia and Marcel to meet with Dr. Francis, Marcel says that their marriage was good. They didn't experience any complications. They didn't have any friction. Basically, he was saying up until 3 to 4 years ago, which tells me he was highlighting the time frame in which the show had begun. Do you know why? So, Miss Wanda said otherwise. Miss Wanda said, you've been cheating on Leticia since she was pregnant. That's what Miss Wanda said. But yet you and Leticia say your marriage have been perfect up until a 3 to 4 year time span. If that's the case, and you didn't experience pushback or resistance or whatever drama in your marriage until then, that's because you kept Leticia hidden in the basement. And now that she's come out to play, it's disrupted the dynamics and the flow of your marriage. Okay? So it wasn't that you didn't have problems. Your problems were not highlighted. Your wife was kept in a basement, in a cave, and she didn't have anyone to talk to. She didn't have anything to measure you up against. Okay? So let's keep it real, Marcel. Tisha goes on to express that Marcel is actually, pause, y'all get ready. She said it. She said Marcel is her gift from God. Imagine that. Imagine that. She said that God has blessed her with this man. Okay. Now, when we think about a man and a woman in a marriage, if we're talking about gifts from God, Leticia, the Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Yet she's expressing that she feels blessed for having found a husband. You never hear Marcel express any type of sentiment or gratitude for having her as his wife. As a matter of fact, he never affirms anything she has to say. I've yet to hear him say, thank you, baby. I love you too. That was nice what you just said. Everything she says goes right over his head. And as a matter of fact, I don't even think it goes right over his head. I think he has blocked her out. Do you know? I feel like the reason why is that man really don't want to be in that marriage, but he's stuck. So he's going to cheat, allegedly, and he has been cheating, allegedly. Even if she caught him red-handed, I don't believe she would leave. So that's that on that. Now we can move on. We're going to move on. I would say to Kimmy and Maurice, but Melody was right. Maurice really doesn't bring anything worth talking about. So let's talk about Kimmy and her messy behind. Okay? Do you feel like Kimmy was messy in this episode? Or am I off my rocker with my assessment? What are your thoughts? Do you feel like she was being messy or she was just honing in and pointing out some things that needed to be said? Yes, it's obvious to all of us that Louis and Tiffany, they have a lot of work to do in their marriage. I don't think anybody is discounting that. That's obvious to us. That's obvious to Dr. Francis, the other couples, okay? Everybody has challenges in their marriages. My problem is, did you see how the Scotts double-teamed, triple-teamed their asses at that table? And guess who led the pack? Guess who was at the forefront of the attack? Little Miss Innocent Kimmy. Messy-ass Kimmy was extremely assertive and, in my opinion, aggressive in this scene. Say what you need to say. You can kind of point out some stuff. But in my opinion, girl, you had no business going in that deep. Hell, how does their marriage impact or affect you? So she kind of threw me. You had way too much energy towards these people. And they couldn't let up. They would take turns going at these folks instead of letting the therapist handle it. Kimmy is messy. I said it. She was dead as wrong for exposing what she and Tiffany talked about in confidence regarding the baby, about Tiffany wanting a baby, the baby situation with Louis. Let me tell you something. When two women go to dinner, go to brunch, have mimosas, have a glass of wine, whatever we're doing, getting our nails done, and girl, we just talk and shooting the shit, talking about the challenges, the highs and lows in life that may include relationship stuff. Why in the hell would you take your ass back and sit in front of my husband and tell him everything I share with you? Yeah, you real messy. Kimmy, there's a girl code. When I talk about something, with you about my man or my husband, that's between us. And Kimmy brought that up in front of Louis and the entire table. And she didn't ask permission. Hey, do you mind if I share what we talked about? I don't like that kind of stuff. But then again, Tiffany, my grandmother used to always say, people can't talk about what you don't tell them. Stop sharing, y'all. Ladies, men that are tuned in, if you don't want folks to repeat shit, don't share it. They can't talk about what they don't know, honey. Yeah. So Kimmy, in my opinion, is a messy old hag. And Kimmy, I want you to know we see you. Your mask is coming off. Tiffany, you're better than me. And I am not a fan of Tiffany, and y'all know that. But Tiffany is way better than me because I would have gotten Kimmy about my business. I would have said, can we focus on how your husband wants to hump you all day, every day, like a bag of dog food? Can we talk about that? Can we talk about your husband and how he's yet to clear up the rumor that you were indeed a side chick? Can we talk about you and how your husband had you sitting on a porch crying in a rocking chair because he told you and he didn't ask you that he was going to move his ex-wife down here and pay her bills and pay her rent? Can we talk about that? Can we talk about how you had to go get a pit bull as an emotional support dog because your husband is actually emotionally void in your marriage? Okay? What Kimmy showed me in this episode is that she has a big mouth. And this is how you shut up a big mouth. You going to put my stuff in front of me? I'm going to put yours in front of you. And then I wouldn't have let up off of her neither. If I were Tiffany, I would have kept going. Can we talk about how your husband uses you as a maid and refuses to make his son help you in the house because he feels like it's not a man's role? You know, one thing I noticed though, hold on, let me come off of my rant. You know what I noticed? I noticed that Kimmy said in her scene with Dr. Francis that she had a house full of young men. Does that mean that Jalen is actually living with her? Because they just did a whole apartment warming scene last season with Jalen supposedly moving out. So was that fake for the show? Okay. Let's get back to what I would say if I were Tiffany. And if I were Tiffany, I would say, could you please get the hell up out of my business? And while you're at it, can you please lower your voice when you're speaking to my husband? Because if you yell at him again, I'm bound to slap the taste out your mouth. Kimmy did way too much. This scene sealed the deal for me. Kimmy gets away with a lot because of the tone of her voice, but she's actually messy. How can you marry into a family like the Scotts without having some type of toxicity? And as you can see, the more I'm watching the Scotts, when the dynamics when Melody and Martell are not around, none of the women challenge Kimmy or push back when she's talking. Have you noticed that? So Melody leaving would actually be the perfect scenario and situation for Kimmy because she would actually rise as the queen of the throne. And I believe she would take full advantage of it.